Hello, grade 10 science students. I'm super excited to talk to you more about biology today. So far we've learned kind of about how cells work, how they have special things inside of them, like organelles, which do specific things. And then we have specialized cells, which go even above and beyond that. And together they will make this organized system. So we start with cells, and then a group of cells become a tissue, a group of tissues become an organ, a group of organs become an organ system, and a group of organ systems become an organism. And so today we're going to talk about a specific type of organ system. So we're going to talk about the digestive system. And our digestive system has three main functions. The first function is to take in our food, then we need to digest that food, and then we need to get rid of any waste material that we have from the food. Okay? And basically, there's two main components of this. We have the digestive tract, which is how our food travels, and then accessory organs, which kind of help to take up nutrients and help our food travel, and all of these important things that it does, like give us enzymes and important stuff. So, this is the overview of our digestive system. We have a nasal cavity here, allows us to smell. We have a mouth and an oral cavity. We have an esophagus. Okay. Then we have a liver, pancreas and gallbladder, a stomach, our small intestine, our large intestine, and then our rectum and our anus. Okay. And so all of these things are super connected. And very important for how we nourish our body and we get our nutrients into our body. So let's take a specific look at some of these. So our mouth or oral cavity is going to break down our food in one of two ways. The first way is mechanically, and whenever we're talking about mechanical breakdown, we're basically saying anything that happens that's nothing to do with chemistry. So here our teeth and our tongue are breaking down our food. But as our teeth and our tongue are breaking down our food, chemical reactions are also happening inside of our mouth. So we have saliva, and saliva in our mouth has these things called enzymes. And enzymes are just these tiny little molecules or molecular compounds that help to speed up a reaction. So here, our enzymes break the bonds in the food molecules that we're eating so that we can break them down way faster. Once this is all done, we're going to create a little ball of food that passes through our esophagus. And our esophagus is an extremely muscular tube that contracts and relaxes so that food can move along that stomach. So we don't actually have any way of passing down our food unless that tube contracts to push our food forward, relaxes to allow it to pass. Okay. And gravity also helps to form a key role in this process because gravity is going to naturally pull that food down. Once we hit the end of the esophagus, where our food is going to enter our stomach, and here our stomach is basically this holding container for our food. And while it's being held there, it's being further broken down. So it's going to contract and release to churn our food. And as this is happening, acid and enzymes in our stomach are also going to break that food down. Now, our stomach, if you're looking at this, has a lot of nerves in here as well, which help to signal our brain to tell us when we're full. However, this signaling system isn't foolproof. And I'm sure that we've all experienced this where we're having a delicious meal, eating a ton of food, we're starving, and then at the end of the meal, we're so full we feel like we're going to be sick. And it's because it takes a while for our stomachs to actually send that signal back to our brain to say, hey, wait, we're full to capacity, don't eat anymore. Okay. After our stomach is full and doing its thing, breaking down that food, it needs a place to go next. And so our food right now is kind of like in a slurry. So it's kind of like a slush that passes through our small intestine. And our small intestine is actually quite large. It's 6 meters long. It's a super muscular tube and it needs to be muscular. So again, we can contract and relax to pass that food through. But our small intestine has one super important role. And that's going to be to absorb all of these nutrients from our food. So any vitamins or minerals, any of that stuff, it's actually getting absorbed in our small intestine, not in our stomach. Our stomach's job is just to break down our food. Our intestines are going to absorb the stuff that we need from it. So our small intestines will absorb all of our nutrients from our food. And then once that's done, our large intestine, which is actually 1.5 meters long, so it's smaller than our small intestine, it's going to absorb water from any indigestible food. So any of the food that's left over at this point in our large intestine is going to be waste. And our large intestine's whole purpose is to take all of that water out of there so that we are hydrated. Okay. This is why if you have some sort of problem with loose stool or diarrhea, you could be at risk of being dehydrated. And basically what's happening is that there's something going on in your large intestine that it's not absorbing all of that liquid. Our liver is one of those accessory organs, and our liver helps to create all of this bile. And bile is super important because it's going to help break down fat. Okay, so fat needs a little extra help to get broken down in our bodies. Bile is that help. And then our pancreas is another accessory organ, and I'm sure that you guys have heard of these organs before. Our pancreas's whole job is to help us regulate our blood sugar. And when you don't have regulated blood sugar, so if you have low or high blood sugar, you feel pretty crappy. Like you're gonna not have very much energy. You could be dizzy. You could feel nauseous. You just don't feel very great. And it's probably because your pancreas isn't working properly. So our pancreas secretes those enzymes that help to break down sugar. And remember, most of our food has sugar in it. Sugar isn't a bad thing. It's just processed sugar is not great for us, but we can get sugar naturally in fruits and vegetables and carbohydrates. And so our food gets broken down like that so that we can actually use it properly to create energy. And our enzymes from our pancreas help us to do that. Finally, our gallbladder stores bile. So any extra bile that's produced by this liver is going to be stored in our gallbladder. And it helps to inject it right into the intestines to help break down fat a little bit more. Okay. Like we said before, our digestive tract is a very long tube with two openings, so our mouth and our anus. And we can actually see this crazy cross section. It almost looks like some sort of sci-fi animal. And here along the edges are epithelial tissue. Then we have connective tissue. And notice the majority of our digestive tract is actually muscle tissue because it has to contract and release to help our food pass through. And then in the middle, we have these villi. And villi are these cone-shaped structures that help to increase surface area. And basically, we want more surface area in our digestive tract so that we can get tons of absorption going on. Okay, tons of different things touching that food so that we can absorb as much as we can out of it. In our digestive tract, we also have these things called goblet cells that help to secrete mucus. And I know nobody likes to talk about mucus. It probably sounds super gross, but it's actually super important for protecting our tract. It helps to protect the lining. It also helps to lubricate it so that you don't get food stuck there. Okay, so it can like kind of flow through really nicely. So this is our digestive system. You're going to read the pages that I posted and do questions 1 to 5 on page 82. You're also going to send me some sort of message at some point to let me know how this remote learning is going and if you liked this week's format. I can't wait to hear from all of you, and I miss you a ton. I hope that you're doing super great.